we can kind of create this community hub and this culture of diversity. Um, just had a hope that that could kind of trickle down, through mountain because sadly, there's still a lot of division with race.
Mhm.
And if you're just Stone Mountain, you probably wouldn't know that it still lingers. Most people know the history here, but my wife and I actually live here, and we don't live at the mayor's house. We live in the village, just
Mhm.
walking distance. And yeah, we it's real. It's real. A lot of racial divide is still present, and we're hoping we can break that for sure.
All right, Lazy Millennials, welcome to the Lazy Millennial Lounge. I want to introduce to you a very special guest today, Daniel Brown, the owner of Gilly Brew Bar in Stone Mountain. What's up, Daniel? Thanks for being with us.
How you doing, Megan? Thank you for having me.
I like to set the stage in the beginning of the
Okay.
episode. So, can you let us know what did you think you were going to be doing with your life around the time you graduated from high school? And how does that compare to what you are actually doing?
That's a good question. Definitely something in music. It's not too bizarre. I've started a business. I've always had a entrepreneurial kind of spirit. So, um, yeah, but hands down, something in music, singing, songwriting, something. That's kind of the direction I was in back home,
Okay.
where I'm from New York, from Brooklyn. Grew up singing most of my life, all of my life, really. Did a lot of professional singing as well, and moved to Georgia just kind of with no plans, but hoping to still transition into the music scene here. And yeah, life just kind of took a different route. Not this won't be in the future. I hope it will be because that's definitely a passion of mine. For now, yeah, I'm at the bar.
What is that transition then? Because how do you get from music, singing, songwriting
Yeah,
to crafting these crazy delicious drinks and owning your own brew bar?
I think there are still a lot of really cool elements that connect the two. Um, for instance, with our concept of like elixirs and stuff like that, we incorporate a lot of storytelling. So that allows me to still practice my pen, writing and conveying messages through words. And yeah, really, I always tell people like I'm not a barista. Um, I would just consider myself an artist, and Gilly is a platform I use as another creative outlet. When I started Gilly, I really wanted it to be a full city experience. And so I think there are still, yeah, still a lot of room to incorporate sound when it comes to your typical coffee shop.
Mhm.
Um, that I think we're starting to kind of play around with some ideas on how we can incorporate that into our modern now. But as far as visuals, illustrations, that sort of thing, we've kind of figured out ways to tap into other people's curiosity by not just latte art pictures, but
Mhm.
introducing or presenting coffee and tea in a whole different way. So um, yeah, it's kind of crazy every time I think about it. Most people that know when I tell them about Gilly, they're thrown off because my people would just know me to sing. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So I know I said we were gonna talk about social stuff later, but because you brought it up,
Okay.
I think it's interesting. I can't remember the first time I came to Gilly, whether it was on my own or whether one of the bars behind the bar nights was the first time I
Yeah.
came. I know I brought my husband with me, and so I think I had been before, and I was like, "Oh no, you got to come see this place. We're going tonight." But now that you have like set that, like given that context, it all makes so much more sense now. Not that it was like random before, but I see how it fits into you and fits into your vision. And one of the things I love about, even if I just get on Instagram and go to your profile, or I'm watching it one of the bars behind the bar on IGT, on Instagram Live, like the same vibe that you see, that's how it feels when you're physically there. Like it looks how it feels. And I think that's just like incredible.
I love hearing that because there is such a thing as just false advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, we see it all the time with like your Burger Kings or Wendy's, where you see this juicy, like amazing burger in the
Ain't
picture, and then
never
you
got no
get
burger
this like
like that.
one piece of lettuce and like a soggy tomato, So it's cool to hear that, the vibe that you get from the feed, you get that when you're there. That's really cool. One thing that I try my best at painting, though, when it comes to the state of our current location, is there are still a lot of struggles that I've faced bringing the business where it is right now, specifically in Stone Mountain. And a lot of the times when people see our feed, sometimes it can kind of disguise what's really happening. I feel like I can do a better job painting a picture of not just the good, but also like how hard it's been. And there's been pockets of like areas or other blogs or podcasts where I've been able to share pieces of, the struggle that I've had here. But um, if now it's time to really talk up about it, and so I'm gonna try and do what I can to still shine a good light on the village, because
Mm-hmm.
I still have hope for this community. Um, I believe that it has the potential to thrive, but we gotta break down a couple of systems and kind of expose those dark things,
Mm-hmm.
in order to really break through and see it to its full potential.
That totally makes sense. And depending on how much you do or don't want to share right now, can you at least like kind of tell us about how Gilly came to be, like why Stone Mountain, why this location, and what that process was like for you?
Gilly is named after my grandfather. His name is Gilbert, and um, after a family trip to Jamaica, where he's from, we went to a private beach, and my parents are pastors, and my grandfather decided that he wanted to get baptized and give his life to the Lord, and it was just an amazing experience, especially seeing my grandfather decide to make that decision in his elderly age, and he's been a very strong and masculine figure in my life. And that day, I saw him break down and just rejoice, and it was a beautiful thing. So when I met my wife, we've always dreamt of building community, and we played around with the idea of possibly doing like a tiny home community. This was back when like tiny homes were really popular, and
Mhm.
we pursued different parcels of land here in Georgia, and we came across one particular property, and then found out that the foundation was on granite, and it was just a lot of sandblasting that would have had to occur. We just continued to look, and in that of trying to find property, we drove through Stone Mountain Village, and we saw the mayor's house, and I just knew that this was something, yeah, like it was a gem, and I was still there, and I just pitched an idea with close family, my parents and my grandmother and my wife. We came together, and I said, I feel like in a lot of ways, the mountain is built like um, a community that we hope to have. And so I kind of saw the mayor's house, which is our current location where Gilly is. I saw this as kind of like the case study of um, a model that could potentially be duplicated. So I said, okay, if we could um, execute this in a way that is um, that it could be duplicated, then maybe this is, something we should look into. And it just worked out so well. The price was amazing. I've had a friend who is a realtor who is amazing at what he does, signature things. We read through a whole bunch of forms, and like within like a week and a half or something like that, we got the properties. It was yeah, it all happened really quick. We knew that a lot of work would have to be put into the house just because of its age. The house was built in 1834.
Mhm.
Um, but the initial plan for that property was still to have a coffee shop, a restaurant, and then co-working space upstairs. And at that time, um, I didn't necessarily want to be the one operating it. I just knew I wanted a coffee shop there because after doing a little study on Stone Mountain, we realized like there's no dope coffee shops. There are not many options when it comes to food, and we just wanted to provide like third place for people who work from home.
Mhm.
And
Like me.
that's
And I
yeah,
found
like
Gilly,
you.
and I was like, oh my God, thank you, Lord.
Exactly. Yeah. And after about a year of kind of working towards that model, and then ran into a couple of things with the city. We just kind of had to change up the model a little bit, and in response to like just wanting to generate cash, because at this time we had been sitting on the property and nothing was happening. After that trip to Jamaica, I just kind of felt led to be the one that operated the shop, and that's kind of why I decided to name it after my grandfather. All in that same moment there, where I was just like, well, I have a deep passion for building community, and I've always been a fan of how well coffee shops facilitate community. And so I said, well, let me just give it a try, And I had a little bit of experience with hospitality just because of my wife's bakery, Apple Butter. Um, and I said, let me give it a try. And here we are. Gilly
Hey.
has been on for like a little over 2 years now. And it's kind of become its own brand in itself.
Mhm.
Um, it's really cool to see, just especially knowing the knowledge that I had going in. It was purely just like passion and vision, and wanting to see the village change.
Yeah.
Writing that narrative for um, the bad rap that Stone Mountain Village has. I wanted to change that, and I felt what better place to do that than this property, because I mean, even where it's located geographically, there's a stone marker in front of the home. I don't know if you noticed that, but I learned that that's where they mapped off the city's circumference. So the mayor's house is like the center of
Mm.
historic Stone Mountain, and it's always been my dream that the impact we have. I kind of see the mayor's house as like the heart, and if we can kind of create this community hub and this culture of diversity, um, just had a hope that that could kind of trickle down, through Mountain, because sadly, there's still a lot of division with race,
Mhm.
and if you're just Stone Mountain, you probably wouldn't know that it still lingers. Most people know the history here, but my wife and I actually live here, and we don't live at the mayor's house. We live in the village, just
Mhm.
walking distance, and yeah, we it's real. It's real. A lot of racial divide is still present, and we're hoping we can break that for sure.
Hoping to bridge those gaps, and like I think I the significance that like a black family owns this property like
Yeah,
cannot be lost.
a lot of red tape we had to go through. Honestly, just because of its historic background. That house was built for Andrew Johnson, who was the first mayor of Stone Mountain. house was built by slaves, and like you said, it's a full turnaround. A
Mhm.
black family owns it now, and we're hoping to um, use that property for good and um, do it with excellence. That's the goal.
So you knew that this part of this vision includes coffee shop.
Yeah.
Um, but then how did that become like? Because this is not an ordinary coffee shop, as you know, it's
I'm
yours.
glad you said.
But so like
Oh
how
yeah.
did that such a creative spin on what people typically think of as a coffee shop? Like how did you
Right.
conceive that?
Right. So I'm glad you said that because we've actually been trying to work on the land Gilly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly the reason why I didn't call it Gilly Coffee Shop. I call it a brew bar just because we've been known to brew literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
One season we did a drink with acorns, and I hope to do more crazy creations like that. But um, although coffee shops did do a good job at providing that place for people to go outside of their homes, I noticed that it missed a really important component in regards to um, connecting people. Um, and I think it was a benefit that I didn't have a coffee background because naturally I just kind of implemented things that I naturally like to do. I love meeting new people. I love connecting people. Um, and I love to dialogue. I'm a thinker, and um, I just wanted to provide a space where when people come in, they don't just drink kind of thing, and you barely catch your barista's name, and then you go away kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to really like get into our customers' lives and um, have them leaving to where they're like, yo, I want to like hang out with them after they close kind of thing. I'm proud to say we've done a good job at doing that. I hope that as Gilly continues to grow, that we still maintain um, that same vibe of um, not becoming too commercial where we forget like it's our job to serve, really giving a full experience to the customer from beginning to end. So even when it comes down to how I hire people, I don't necessarily look for people with barista experience because that's something I could easily teach someone how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I look for other qualities that I feel would help to separate us.
One of the things I think is really cool about seeing you all's progress is I think there's like this perception that Stone Mountain Village isn't a good location for, X or the city of Stone Mountain, period. Like people aren't looking for Y. And it's like, no, like you have these ideas about the people who live here or even the people who live in other surrounding areas.
Yeah.
um, and I think the growth of the community that even I've seen from the outside just goes to show that people can't flock to what they don't have. if you
Yeah.
if you provide this to people and make this accessible and interesting and creative and communal, people are attracted to that naturally. Like me, for
Yeah.
example, I work from home. I've been working from home for several years now, and I was
Yeah.
having to go to like Tucker or during the
Yeah.
day or go to Snellville during the day. I'm like, I don't want to go to these other cities. Like I would much rather find somewhere here in Stone Mountain to keep
Yeah.
my money local, supporting local areas. It's just not that not that much availability out here, and that's something that changed, with you all, with a couple of other more recent businesses that I've seen. So even just from like a larger community perspective, I think what you all are doing is so important and so necessary right now.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. That's another reason why I don't want to kind of be pinholed as just a coffee shop because sadly coffee shops have been a part of the problem in relation to like gentrification.
Facts.
I want to be able to provide brewed beverages, and you don't feel like you have to be of a certain race or have to bring a certain income to be able to enjoy, a time at Gilly. I want to
Or afford it.
right. I want everyone to feel equal when they come. I want to get past the whole snobby kind of persona that a lot of coffee shops have. The white walls and everything looking all perfect. Like, Gilly looks rough on the edges. Like, I want it to feel like home. I want it to. I don't want to paint this perfect picture. Yeah, people to know, like, yeah, we're real people too, and we want to serve you. And yeah, it's really cool to see how many younger families have moved into the village
Mhm.
just because of Gilly. I mean, that blows my mind because I'm like, there's a lot up against y'all coming to the village. I don't want to again. I don't want to mislead people. I definitely believe that the village is growing, will be great. But I want people to know, like, we still got some work to do. But
Mhm.
it is encouraging to hear people say that their friends get jealous when they hear that they're just a few minutes away or walking distance away. I think that's really cool.
Let's dive into one of your I guess one of your seasonal campaigns. I don't know what you all call it. I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I think it'll help give the listeners like some idea of what you actually mean when you talk about these brews and the creativity that goes into it. So I don't know, maybe you could describe one of your favorites or the most recent or whichever one you want to choose and just kind of describe the process of developing that out, like what those drinks are going to be and how that all works.
Okay. So all them like seasonal collections, compilation of 5 beverages that we launch every 3 months. Oh, and we create themes around it too. So again, it's if you think of it as a song, it's like an EP. We got the album, and then we got 5 tracks on it, kind of thing. So the first track, uh, or the theme, is called "Just Give Me the Light," and the messaging that we told through that particular collection was really simple, and it was just being light in dark places. And one way we illustrated that was we incorporated a bar technique where you take a citrus peel, like you take off the skin of like a lemon or lime or orange, and when you prepare the drink, you light a match and then you squeeze that citrus zest over the match, and it does this amazing like flame. It like swells up, and it looks really dope.
Mm.
But it also enhances the cup profile as well. So that was one way we illustrated being light and darkness, and we kind of embedded in people's minds. Eventually they started to get it towards the end of the season, that when we served them, we asked them a question. We said, do you want the light? And then their response would be, "Just give me the light," and then we'll express the citrus on top of it. So I mean, that was the foundation of like
That's
how to be
so
a message. And
good.
and it's just been getting crazy and crazy ever since. Let me see. Our last season that we did before the whole Corona thing, we told a story about life, um, and pretty much each beverage was like a time capsule, from birth to death. And this the title of that collection was Dash. And what we did was we dashed an ingredient on top of all of the drinks that season, and we tied it all together by explaining what those ingredients were. So all the ingredients that we dashed on top of the drink are ingredients that's found in chai, like chai tea.
Mhm.
And chai in Hebrew means life. So we kind of came full circle with the meaning that way. Um, what's another cool one?
I thought the labor of love was really That was my drink, and I loved the story around the labor of love. I think that's been my favorite.
Okay, Labor of Love. That's yeah. That was a favorite for sure. So that let me see. I know that particular story, but I mean that whole thing was amazing.
Mm.
So pretty much we told the story about creation. The theme was bad to the bone, and um, it was a kind of play on words where we focused more on women, and when guys see her, feel like she's bad. But also we wanted to point out in regards to creation the bad action that Eve did that resulted in um, sin, pretty much. And that particular drink that you talked about, Labor of Love, um, talks about the punishment put on Eve, which is severe child pains and birth and all of that, that God cursed Eve with because of her disobedience. But if you notice, Labor of Love abbreviated is also LOL for laugh out loud, because through the pain of delivery, um, the joy at the end is the child. And we wanted to um, we wanted to illustrate how even in our bad decisions, God could still use it for good.
Mhm.
And it's amazing that despite Adam and Eve's disobedience with eating the forbidden fruit, it's amazing that we also find salvation through the birth of Jesus. There's, there's a lot of like cool tie-ins and like meanings, and yeah, I keep trying to tell people like we don't just put flavors just because it sound cool, or well, we definitely try to sound amazing and sound cool, but we put a lot of thought into all of the drinks that we make, down to like the vessel we put it in, the color we want it to be, what kind of garnish we're going to add to it. So yeah, I mean it's a long process, and I think people are beginning to appreciate it now
Mm.
that they know how much thought that we put into it. And I mean, ever since Rona happened, it's people are like, man, when the next elixir coming out? Because we haven't released our spring elixirs yet. I may combine those with summer ones, which instead of 5, it'll be 10 elixirs,
Okay.
and it's gonna be crazy, but I'm gonna try to make it. Yeah,
That's
man.
cool. So one thing, if you're listening, while you're listening, you can do is go to Gilly's Instagram profile. What's the account name?
At Gilly Brew Bar.
At Gilly Brew Bar, and you can kind of scroll through and get a sense of what the seasonal collections have been and what the stories, the themes around them have been. That's like one of my favorite parts of keeping up with you all on social is like being able to visually see that theme play out, but also like read
Yeah,
more of the story behind it. I think that's really cool.
we enjoy doing that, and we've done that since the beginning, where we don't share what the full theme is. We
Mm-hmm.
just kind of slowly narrate the message that we tell. We use our social media to do that, and shout out to Instagram. It's been really helpful. Yeah, for real. And then with amazing pictures. Shout out to um, Mary Claire Stewart. She does most of our photos, and my dude Gary. He just joined the Gilly gang. Very talented videographer, and then even my homie Luke Garman. He's helped out with a couple of things. So I knew that was one thing that we had to do right, because some of our drinks, if you just heard it, especially if you're not one to try new things, you
Mm-hmm.
probably turn it down. But we've had a lot of people that say, you know what, I probably wouldn't try that, but after I saw that, that typically draws them in. So
Yep, that's me.
I, oh, yeah, I mean, when I started that way, this is no turning back now. I got to keep up with everything got to be top notch now. So, thank God we've been able to, keep the quality the same. That's been really cool.
Can you also talk about I don't know if it was maybe because of the pandemic or maybe that was something you had planned all along, but like the piece of the or the product that people are able to purchase so that they can like make some of these brews at home on their own?
Yeah. You know what? The pandemic really was like a blessing and a curse. I mean, it sucks that, for like almost a month, we lost a lot of business, but it also provided a lot of time, time for my personal life. My wife and I, we've been grinding for years now, and don't really get to spend time as much as we'd like to. So it provided time for that, as well as time to work at the mayor's house, because that's our phase two. We still hope to open the restaurant um, this summer is the goal. And the last phase of the mayor's house will be we'll serve like alcoholic beverages, like craft beer and mimosas and that sort of stuff. So we're just kind of growing the various stages, but yeah, in that time of like not much foot traffic, um, my team and I just sat down and we tried to figure out other systems we could build into the business that will help to generate some money. And selling whole beans was one of them, and just kind of serving some of our ingredients and allowing people to be able to take with them. And so seasonal flavors that we add to most of the drinks right now include rosemary. That's a staple. That perp is our lavender. We have one called perfume. That's our jasmine and honeycomb. Those are very floral flavors. We always try to include flavors that's reminiscent of the season that we're in. And, we add those to most of our lattes and cold brews, that sort of stuff. And yeah, people love it. It's really cool. I found these really cool amber brown bottles, and we slap a G on it, and goodness, people they've been ordering it. So it's really cool that people get to take a piece of Gilly at home and have that experience. I can't tell you the amount of different videos we've gotten from people like trying new concoctions. Someone just sent me a video yesterday. It's crazy of her. She added um she added our jasmine simple syrup to her kombucha, and it looked amazing. I was like, man, this is
Okay.
crazy. So people are able to kind of like make their own concoctions and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That's awesome. So if someone wanted to do that, would they like go to Gilly? Would they order online? How does that work? And how can people support in the current state right now?
Yeah. So there is an option to order our simples online. The simples are for pickup only right now. We're gonna try and do a few test deliveries to family and friends. We can deliver them fast without it breaking, kind of thing. We'll try and get that out really soon. But our whole beans, you can definitely order and we'll ship it out a week for you. We prefer to ship it as a whole bean and the customer grind it themselves. Because the second you grind coffee, it starts to lose its freshness.
Mm.
So, but no judgment. If people don't have a grinder, we'll grind it for you and send it. Um, what else? I just launched my first like recipe book. It's an ebook. You can download it. You can purchase that through the website as well. And the book is of the first collection that I dropped, the Just Give Me the collection.
Okay.
And I've gotten really amazing stories of that too. People trying to make some of the concoctions at home. it's been fun to watch people be able to make that. And the idea of dropping the book just came out of me wanting to establishing because I noticed a lot of other coffee shops started to kind of do elixirs, and
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of expected, but it kind of started happening a little. It was happening really frequently, like coffee shop owners that I know come to Gilly and really like the particular drink, and was
Mm-hmm.
I look on their feed and now they're doing the same drink. So I was like, let me try and um, figure out a way to copyright it to where we can establish it as like, of course, there's nothing new under the sun. Like an elixir is not a word we created. You know, elixirs are home concoctions and medicines. You know, coming from a Caribbean background, um, growing up, if I was sick, you know, my mom, she wouldn't give me like your typical Advil or whatever. You know, like it would just be house remedies that she would put together, some ginger or lemon or
Yeah.
whatever. You know. Um, and so just growing up with that idea of creating beverages for medicinal purposes, that's kind of the reason why I decided to call these elixirs. And I'm able to tie in the my faith component to it, um, by um, tying these drinks to stories and building off of that. I thought it was something that people normally did, and then really not, you know. So Gilly just kind of became what it is now because of that. But it's all inspired by um, the gospel, which I subscribe to, and just little things that I grew up doing, you know, being treated with medicinal home remedies. And um, I've always kind of been known to get flavors. You know, it's just something I do on a regular. So Gilly is just a combination of things that I naturally do, and I just kind of turned it into a business, and people love it. So I'm gonna keep doing it.
Well, I don't know if it was possible for me to be more excited about Gilly than I already was, but this conversation has definitely, I think, shed some light on parts that I wasn't even aware of and just made me appreciate all of the effort that you and your wife and your team have put into it, which I know is like indescribable. So just know that, like, we got y'all, the community's got you. We're gonna keep supporting, keep spreading the word.
Cool,
Y'all make
appreciate
sure to
that.
go to Gilly Brew Bar on Instagram and follow and support and try out some of these amazing drinks. But most importantly,
Yes.
like, come be a part of that community.
But I am on a second Gilly location, um, and it's gonna be in Atlanta. It's the Castleberry Hill area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where I don't know if you're familiar with Peter Street,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a ton of black-owned businesses over there. One that people are familiar with is Escobar. It's run by Two Chains and his business partner. We'll be right next to them on the corner. There's a big mural on the wall right there. It says, "Hey, Brown Girl, you're so beautiful."
Yes.
We'll be right there.
That is
We'll be
so
right there.
dope.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations. Okay,
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
when I can't publish this before when?
So we're dropping in this tomorrow.
Okay,
So
okay, so you'll be
whatever.
good then. Ah,
Yeah,
that
you're
is
good.
so dope. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're really, really excited about that. I don't have an opening date
Hmm.
yet, but I do plan to do um, a few pop-ups
Okay.
leading up to the opening. I'm thinking of doing our first pop-up this Friday, actually. So um, yeah, it's right around the corner, but I'm happy about it. Really excited. Um, and I think, well, yeah, the news has been out. My wife is also working on another bakery concept. That would be on the south side, in Fayetteville.
Okay.
There's a development out there called Pinewood. It's right across the street from Pinewood Studios, which is like big in the movie industry.
Hmm.
If you're familiar with Marvel and Black Panther and all that. So right across the street, Dan Cathy had the idea of building a community that attracted a lot of the creatives that will be in town filming, as well as a lot of the actors and actresses that are in Atlanta. Instead of them having to travel back and forth, most likely they'll be living across the street at Pinewood Forest,
Hmm.
and so she'll be doing her second bakery location there, and
Man, those
I'm
people are gonna
actually
eat her cakes up.
right. Oh man,
Like
yeah.
what?
So Gilly will be doing the coffee program there to complement her
Oh,
desserts. It will be a different concept than Apple Butter Bakery. I don't think she's released what that concept is yet, so I won't
okay.
share it. But it will be a little different than Apple Butter, which is more um it's nostalgic and family oriented with family recipes. The new concept will have some nostalgic aspect to it, but I'll let
Mhm.
her the news with that.
Got you.
Really excited about that. But yeah, Peter Street Station is where the second Gilly location, and I mean, this is gonna be my first time doing the second location for Gilly,
Mhm.
so we'll hit a couple of roadblocks, but hoping that we get the support from our people, and we'll continue to push out creative ideas, creative concepts and drinks, and hopefully we can carry that same Gilly vibe over
Mhm.
to the Castleberry Hill area. I'm
Man,
really really excited.
God is so good. I'm so
Oh yeah.
excited for y'all. And I have to also plug that you got married at my husband's wedding venue. So like I
Yeah.
automatically
Oh yeah, and yeah, that I'll be in Plus Studios. That's the Castleberry area
Yep,
too. So
yep.
yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
dope. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and letting us into everything and letting us know about this
Thank you.
most recent news. We'll be sure to support, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on your show again, and I'll see you at Gilly.
All right.